Le, le, chick, le, le, chick, le.
Distinguished guests, we are requesting you to get settled down. We are about to start academia and industry discussion.
আমি এখন জানি সার্ভিসের কাজ করতে দিলে ভালো হয় এই স্যারকে তো দাম এটা তোমার দিয়ে দেবো দেখে
এলটি হবে ও গড
কি জিনিস
সিআইএলটি বলে দিব
স্যার এগুলি তো কোশ্চেনের তুমি রেডি করছো আমি দিয়েছি আমার লেখা লাগবে I don't want to know and do anything that I don't need to. Only sir need to know basis আপনি শুরু করে স্যারকে বলবেন আপনাকে আপনার পরিচয় করাবেন আপনাকে আমাকে স্যারকে পরিচয় করাই দিবেন তারপর আপনি শুরু করে আপনি বলবেন অনার স্যারকে ওয়েলকাম ইউনিভার্সিটি সাইটে দিবেন ওয়েলকাম ইউনিভার্সিটি দেওয়ার পরে আবার আমি বলবো আবার আপনি
We are all waiting for this intriguing session. So requesting everyone to get settled down. Thank you.
স্যার আপনি এখানে আরে ওর কোশ্চেন লাগবে না ইউ নিড এ কোশ্চেন কোশ্চেন Yeah, you can ask him any question, he can answer immediately. Yeah, of course. Yes, সব তো এখানে আছে কাগজ কলম লাগবে বলে দেন ওয়াস্টিং বলে দেন
কাগজ কলম কিসের কাগজ কলম
একদম স্যার কাগজ কলম ফরেন বেখান দ্বারা ঠিক আছে কাগজ কলম সবাই দিতে হবে এই সিরাপিস ডক্টর ব্যাক খাতে আপনার মতো বসছি সব আছে ওই যে আপনার আচ্ছা ওই যে ছবি ওই দাঁড়ায় ওই যে প্রবেশ সময় শুরু করবো হ্যাঁ অন টাইম করে থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ স্যার থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার ড্যানিয়েল এটাতে নাই
we'll arrange one we'll arrange for seat
I don't know. Or we can do it. We can just.
এটা সরিয়ে ফেলুন এটা এখানে দিয়ে দাও স্যার আমরা শুরু করি এটা ওই পাশে এটা গাছটা
হ্যাঁ
requesting everyone to get settled down. We are about to start academia and industry discussion session. Good evening. Warm welcome to the academia and industry discussion session of the ICE BTM 2025, organized by School of Business and Entrepreneurship, Independent University, Bangladesh.
This session brings together distinguished academics and industry leaders from home and abroad to bridge the gap between theory and practice. Together, we will explore how emerging trends in business and management are shaping today's fast-evolving global landscape. It is a wonderful opportunity to exchange insights, share experiences, and promote collaborations that can inspire innovation and sustainable growth.
I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our panelists to you all. First, I will start with the academicians. We are honored to have Professor Dr. Abdul Rob, Honorable Vice Chancellor IUBAT, Professor Dr. Ahmad Ahsan, PRI, Professor Dr. Jonathan Liu, UK, Professor Dr. Raja Rasia from Malaysia, Professor Dr. Maniam Kalianian from Malaysia, Professor Dr. Farid Sobhani, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Eastern University, Professor Dr. M.M. Nurul Afsar, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Chittagong Independent University, Professor Dr. M.D. Abdul Rahman, Pro Vice Chancellor, AIUB, Dr. Firdaus Salihin from UAE, and Professor Ruhul S. Salim, Curtin University, Australia.
Now I'd like to introduce the corporate leaders. We have with us Mr. Syed Nasim Manzoor, IPEX, Mr. Niaz Rahim Afroz, Dr. Ben Fefe, CILT UK, Dr. Derek Westfall, Boeing USA, Mr. Emeka Egeson, Canada, Mr. Kamran T. Rahman, MCCI, Mr. Mirza Sajib Raihan, AmCham, Dr. Mohammad Musharraf Hussain, ICDDRB, Mr. ASM Mainuddin Monem, Abul Monem Group.
Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming our Honorary General Chair, Professor Dr. Raisul Awal Mahmood, and our General Chair, Professor Dr. M.D. Mamun Habib, to preside over this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. May I now introduce Professor Dr. M. Tamim to welcome you all once again and to start the proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's been a long day, so I can see tired faces around me, and this is the last program of the day today. So I welcome you to this Industry Academia discussion sessions. The format will be our two professors sitting besides me, Professor Habib and Professor Mahmood. They'll be asking questions probably specifically to each panel. And obviously, for your own sake, if you are not hungry, then that's a different issue. But we want to be very short and precise in your answers so that, everybody can say. We have a large number of people here. And that is how we will go forward. And I hope this interaction will benefit all our participants today here and bring out the key issues between academia and industry. One thing in Bangladesh that everybody talks about, and expectation, is research from the universities. Everybody talks about research from the universities, but nobody talks about research from the industry. This is something which is missing in the whole discussion point. We are always looking towards the university as if uniquely, independently, universities will just produce research. That doesn't work. And I'm sure the leaders from the industry will shed some light on that how research in industry is equally important. Unless you have this parallel process of research in both areas, the interaction will not have, the crossover will not happen, and university cannot proceed as this morning I was saying that applied research, practical solution-based research will not be produced unless the industry requires those, the need of those research and problem solutions. So I hope we'll have a very lively discussion today. I will hand it over to Professor Habib to start the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Assalamu alaikum. A very good evening. So this is our one of the top priority discussion, academia and industry. In fact, when I was asked the question by the media that why we are to organize this kind of conference, and we mentioned a few times about this issue that how we can reduce the gap, mitigate the gap between the academia and industry. So this is that discussion. And sir already mentioned about the format. So whatever you will say, just keep in mind, it has been recorded, it's already live. So we like to request that your opinion will be noted and it will be documented for future findings. So at this stage, I like to start by the academics. Professor Daniel Lul, our Honorable Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Independent University of Bangladesh. So we'd like to invite him just say what is his observation about what kind of relation should be applicable for the academic industry, as he has an international exposure, international people. So from his international experience, what kind of relation should be available between the academic industry? Professor, please.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a huge question between academia and industry, because obviously we want our students to have jobs, and they get jobs in industry. And so I think that very simply that industry informs the educators on what is needed, but at the same time, industry doesn't dictate what is needed, because academia, of course, it's not all about getting a job. Sometimes it's about studying 14th century poetry. And that's what I did with my undergrad. And of course, that doesn't get me a job. So then I went to the things that gives a job. So yeah, definitely the industry informs, academia, academics consider, and then academics work with industry to come up with programs that help our students get jobs. Because ultimately, without jobs, we don't eat. So we need to be able to eat and shelter our families. And yeah, so that's the one of the ultimate goals. Thank you.
The question that comes mostly to us as universities and education institutions is that the kind of graduate that we produce for the industry is not suitable for the industries. There's a lots of gaps between what you teach in the schools and what they need in the industry. To me, the question is that how far this is true and who actually is responsible for the gap that exists between these two sides, if that exists really. So I'd like to my question to the Naseem Manzoor is how is the reaction to this kind of gap between the industry and the academia in terms of producing the right kind of skills and training that is required by the industry?
Thank you, Professor Mahmood. If you look at the numbers, it's actually quite staggering. The latest World Bank report from the president says that every second, 4 people will join the global workforce for the next 10 years. And the mismatch between global demand and global supply is 1.2 billion people coming in and 400 million jobs. So this mismatch is a global phenomena in terms of the numbers. Now, in terms of the employability quotient, I tend to agree with the Pro-VC, what he said. I think universities have a balance between pursuing knowledge and creating wisdom and creating capital, intellectual capital for future generations, but also trying to find a way for people to earn a living. And that's always it's a delicate balance. I think one of the things in Bangladesh that I would like to stress is the importance of curriculum upgradation. I find this a biggest challenge, and I would like to hold responsible the UGC here and say that they need to be much more responsive to the needs of new curricula. I find international business courses, for example, with curricula that is outdated. We are talking about instruments like letters of credit which are not relevant. So I think there is a need for that which will help bridge the gap. The second part of it is, I think, critical thinking and problem-solving skills. The soft part of it is missing hugely. We are producing degrees, we're producing graduates, but we're not producing problem solvers. And the third part of it, I think, is the need to inculcate in our younger people this spirit of continuous learning, because we don't know what the needs of tomorrow are going to be. So if I feel that I have a BBA or a BSc or a BA, and therefore I will find a job and I will continue to excel, is wrong, because you will need to reinvent yourself several times in your career. So I think that those are the three things that I would like to stress. The last part for Bangladesh I would really like to put out there is language. I find that our language skills are deteriorating rapidly, the ability to communicate in all languages, and the inability and unwillingness to learn new languages. There is an app called Duolingo. Today, if you speak Mandarin, or you speak Korean, or you speak Japanese, you're 5 times more employable than just having a degree. Why are we not learning that language? Europeans speak 4 languages on average. That's why they are mobile. So I think the students need to take the burden. I think the curriculum needs to be upgraded. And I think we need to teach global learning, and we can bridge the gap. Thank you.
Thank you. As at first we discussed the 4 academicians. So now we'd like to take the another practitioners. So now I'd like to go to our Niyaz Rahim, our one of the leading practitioners in our country. Mr. Niyaz Rahim, if you think about, if you look carefully that international perspective, say, I don't want to think about the USA, at least come to the Singapore, come to the Malaysia. University, the school will be sponsored by the industry. Say, Maybank School of Business and Entrepreneurship, it's Malaysia. Bank Rakyat, the School of Engineering. So we can think that once a time it will come up in Bangladesh, that the Rahim Afroz School of Business and Entrepreneurship, Independent University, Bangladesh. What's your perception, what's your opinion about this one? Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. You are absolutely right.
Yes, sir. I know.
I will say about ourselves here. As you rightly suggested, that industries will come forward. We have done that. I have 2 experiences from our side. I can share that. One is, you know that the families in Bangladesh business are first generation mostly, and we are just transiting into the second generation. And once we realized, we went and offered one of the universities that we want to sponsor a chair on family business. Because we came across this in India. We came across this in India, where in ISB, Indian School of Business, they had a chair for family business. We said, if India has it, why are we not having one? And we actually offered a chair to the for family business. That's one. And we went forward for that. But unfortunately, people at that time, the Senate and all that, did not understand the importance of that. That did not come through. Then when we diversified our business into an agri-products business, we sponsored an MBA in a university, agribusiness MBA. And we ran it for 4 years. But unfortunately, there were hardly any admissions there, and finally we had to withdraw from that. So I'm saying there is scope for that, and our industries came forward, and we could have, if we could have created an example, I'm sure many other industries would have followed through, in engineering and all that. Similarly, we tried our hands with BUET also in solar renewable energy. And if you visit that area, you will see a solar park which is partly sponsored by us. So we did try, but unfortunately at that time perhaps the universities were not ready. Today I'm sure this is the first, I'm seeing this the first time, a university academia, industry and academia collaboration session is happening. I'm sure this will open new doors for collaboration and taking this step forward. Thank you very much.
স্যার আব্দুর রব স্যার আব্দুর রব স্যার
This question is for Professor Abdul Rab. Your reaction to the comment made from the industry side.
Well, let me first talk about the points raised by Mr. Manzoor. He has rightly pointed out certain basic skills need to be developed. The critical thinking, communication skill. It's not just language. Language learning and communication is not the same thing. Third, what he has not mentioned, the IT skill is very important. The other thing, problem-solving, decision-making skill. Of course, the basic is the critical thinking, but the process must also be known. Unfortunately, in the universities, still, these things are not being emphasized at the level when it is needed. One major development has taken place in the curriculum. You talked about curriculum. That outcome-based education curriculum has been introduced in many universities. And that is precisely what should have been done, I think, 20 years ago. Now, in this country and also in other countries, higher education was not meant to be job-specific. It was supposed to be intellectual exercise. The people will be pandits in our language, until we started practicing this outcome-based education. When we're saying what the student should be able to do, not just say, able to say or able to understand, do. So that is where the importance is. Now, if the industry can suggest us, say in a specific course, what should the students be able to do after finishing this course? Okay? It would be useful. The problem is that I have been attending this kind of, I think it is the 6th time I have been around with this issue. I have been telling, unfortunately, if you ask the industries, what specific skills do you want from the university graduates, from different disciplines, they don't have any specific answer. The other issue is that this is a moving scenario. Today, a student is admitted in the first year of the 4-year course. But now we are actually teaching him perhaps a decade-old things, not what is currently needed or what would be needed after 4 years. That is where the problem is. The world is fast moving and we are not keeping pace with even current needs, forget about the future needs. So after 4 years, when an undergraduate is going to a job, by this time what he has learned, many of them have become obsolete. And some of the things that he needs, he doesn't know. So we are, from the academic side, telling that we must be forecasting. What would be needed after 4 years? This outcome-based education actually gives a guideline. Okay, so this is an important issue. And well, I should stop because there are others to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Abdul Rab, sir. Now we like to move to the international, and we like to move to the young, we can call practitioners, and then they came to the young academics. So I like to ask this question to our two young person. One is that Emeka Henry Exxon, the Canada. He was the Best Teaching Excellence Award he received this year from ACBSP 2025. And then I'll go to the same question to the Dr. Firdaus Salihin from UAE. So my observation is that both of you started your journey in the corporate. and then you move to from corporate industry to the academics. Now, what's your observation when you see that the gap between the academics and industry? So you can share your opinion from your international perspective, and then I'll come back to the Dr. Firdaus. He can also share Bangladesh and what he's noticing in the UAE. Okay, so we'd like to know both of your opinion. Thank you. We can start by you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Habib, for that question. So I am fortunate that I've been on both sides, right? So I've been able to see the problem. In fact, when I was in the corporate, I started as a visiting faculty in a college and a university. And the problem, the challenge that I'm hearing here is not unique to Bangladesh, right? It's a problem that we've also noticed in Canada, right? And one of the things that we suggested during our curriculum review was having a PAC, Program Advisory Committee, that involved stakeholders from the industry. So what happened was during our program review, we actually allowed the industry to lead that process. So when we look at things like our learning outcomes and our elements of performance, we lay bare before them and ask them, what do you think about this that we are teaching the students? Is it relevant? If they say no, we take it off. We put this, is it relevant? Yes, we reinforce it. Is this still relevant today? We take it off. So we heard what they were saying and we made those changes. And we've noticed that many of our graduates quickly get jobs because our learning outcomes and elements of performance reflected what the industry needed. So I think having a PAC, Program Advisory Committee, is very, very important, and it should be led by stakeholders in the industry. So that's the way forward.
Thank you, Emeka. And now I'd like to move to the Dr. Firdaus Salim, please.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Firdaus Salim. I spent last 18 years in the industry working for largest conglomerates here as supply chain director and taking the lead role in supply chain transformation. Now I'm working as under UAE federal government, the Vision 2031. Okay, so I'm working for UAE federal government under Sharjah Maritime Academy, and I would like to share the classic example the UAE is leading, and their academia and industry collaboration are leading example for the rest of the world. We are heading towards 2031, we call it the UAE 2031, and we exactly know that by 2031, our GDP will be 816 billion, non-oil exports will be 218 billion, tourism sector contribution is 122 billion, logistics market value will be 54 billion, foreign trade value will be $109 trillion, okay? So every single dotted line has to be connected. We have NQC, that is the National Qualification Centers. So we have identified in 2031, we only need these jobs, these areas for education. Artificial intelligence, fintech, green energy, space technology, smart logistics, autonomous transport, biotechnology, advanced healthcare, circular economy, period. We are only focusing those areas. Now our job is to prepare future-ready Emirati boys and girls, and we have a strict KPI. Let me tell you that we are talking about skill sets. In the UAE, from KG1 to KG12, every single boy and girl has to learn coding. For every single degree, a student before graduation, he has to spend 500 hours in the industry, in the workshop. Now, what is the collaboration? There are 6 collaborations we need to follow, otherwise the university will lose the license. Number 1, in order to develop the program, bachelor's, master's, certificate, diploma, there must be a direct input from the industry partners. under the Vision 23, and that must be approved the National Qualification Center, that is UGC, and they develop the skill set, what is required for the job. Let's say, freight forwarding jobs, like people who will be working in the commercial, or people who will be working in the pharmaceutical company, damaging, dangerous good handling. What type of skill set need we have a defined JD, and the student must have that, what we call it, PD courses. Number of hours he must complete, otherwise he cannot take that job. Number 2 is industry requirement-based program. Now we don't need any all bookish theoretical program. It is all applied education so that the students is ready, he can apply the knowledge. Number 3, we think that not everyone is necessary to have a bachelor's degree program. That's why we have a certificate program, we have a diploma program, because people who will be working in a pharmacy, he doesn't need an MBA, okay? Who is working in the warehouse, or I can see that Apex, if they want to recruit someone in the shop, they don't have any people who has that knowledge. I don't need a BBA or MBA. Number 4, external industry board to verify curriculum. I am working in academia, every single course, every single program, I need to present into the advisory board, and I need to tell what case study will be done, what type of in-depth knowledge will be done. It is approved, and then we can run the courses. And this is monitored every 3 months. If we don't do it, our license will be cancelled. If the industry don't do it, they cannot recruit expat employees. Number 5, there is a industry-based certification program. Like for an industry, you need some certification. As I told you, that freight forwarders need certain degree. Certain, like pharmaceutical company or some other specialized job, you don't need a bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD degree. If you have that degree, if you have that PD courses, you can go on. And number 6, in the UAE, it is a mandatory that you cannot give case studies or theories, bookish theories of Harvard University or Amazon or Walmart. You have to develop UAE-based case studies, and you have to develop every single thing that is pertinent to the industry. I think that this is a role model for the whole world. And we know that how many students will be getting jobs in which sector. Thank you very much.
Now, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, would like to add some comments.
I'm very glad to hear from Dr. Firdaus what he mentioned, because this is I have been telling for a long time that without a national vision of progress, outline of what the nation wants to go, developing human resources accordingly is not an easy task. We are doing also, as you said, we are producing hundreds of BBAs and MBAs, and there is not enough job there, because we don't know where the job is going to be created. So we all know about the Korean model. Okay, Korea decided to do for manufacturing, and they trained people exactly for that particular manufacturing. And they had no problem of manpower. So this is a very good point. I just thought that I would appreciate the way it has been done, and there is a learning process from that for Bangladesh as well.
Thank you. Our Nasim Manzoor from the Apex. He'd like to add on comments, please.
No, let's pick up on the previous speaker. I completely agree. I think, and this is possibly not the best forum to talk about this, but I'll still stick my head out. I think university models need to change also. I think the idea of only having 4-year degree courses is going to become more and more challenging. Let me share a personal anecdote. My daughter wanted very much to go to an Ivy League university in New York. And I had the opportunity of meeting a professor from that university in Dhaka. And the professor told me that please don't waste this money. Send your daughter to a community college for 2 years, and she will still be as employable. And this is the professor from that Ivy League university. I think the intellectual elitism of going to some of these schools does not make you employable. I'm sorry. I believe that. I think we need to destigmatize technical training. We should never use the word vocational. The reality of vocational training in Bangladesh is if you have vocational training, you can't get married. Families will not marry. I know this. Okay, I'm not vocationally trained, but I know this. If my son says he wants to be a plumber, it'll be a disaster in the family. But plumbers on an hourly basis make more money than lawyers in New York City. Try getting a plumber in New York and London today on an hourly basis. So I think the UK has started something called the T levels. There are the O levels, the A levels, and T. Why can't we talk about technical education in universities? Why does it have to be farmed out to these second-tier universities? Why can't a great university like IUB start to talk about a 2-year program for food technology, for supply chain management, for warehouse management, for quality management, for sustainability audit? We will send people on our money. We don't have the time and we don't have the need to have 4-year degrees for anything. So this continuous education thing, I think, very important. And the last part is, I think the salary to expectation level also we need to think about it. If you look today, some of the best paid jobs are obviously in the corporate sector, but they're not enough to go around. So jobs on the shop floor actually start low but pay very high. But we can't get enough young people on the shop floor. Now, the UAE example is fascinating, but it's a little bit advanced for Bangladesh. We need today's supply chain managers. You're absolutely right. We need more warehouse managers. We know that Japan is looking for people with Japanese skills and a Japanese driving license, and they're fast-tracked on a green card. Why are we not exploring these options? I've talked about Brazil needing, halal butchers. They have halal factories, and they're running out of halal butchers or halal practitioners. And they are one of the largest producers of halal meat in the world. So you talk about industry not telling you it's your needs, sir. I've never been asked. Nobody in my 35 years has come and asked me, what do you need? I come to these seminars, I rant and rave, and I go back. So somebody's got to break this vicious cycle. I hope IUB will start it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sir, please.
Oh, it's nice to listen to all the experiences. We have two particular models here in front of us. One is the UAE said that government decides what to do and what not to do. Industry decides should do what the government needs in the future, and the education institutions should produce what the industry needs. This is one thing. Second thing, what is said here is that should we allow some individual to practice his own likings and dislikings? If somebody wants to study the, for example, literature, as Honorable Provisy has said, should we allow that or not? Should it be on the state finance or should it be on the individual finance? But whatever the individual choices here. So one question is to us is that basically, coming back to the practical part of it, is that what different role that the industry can play to motivate, not the force, like the UAE, for example, to make either through the market functions or other institutions, so that whatever industry needs can be communicated to the education institutions to produce that kind of the skills and training, and vice versa. So I think there needs to be a close cooperation and coordination between what the industry needs on the one hand and what the university produces. So can I have Mr. Ahmed Ahsan to comment on these kind of relation between the industry and the academia?
Thank you. Actually, I come wearing different hats. I've been an academic in my early stage of my life, both here in Dhaka and in New York. And then I was a banker, if you will, in the World Bank, doling out lending money and so on. And now I'm a researcher for the last 7-8 years. And one of the things, so I'll come on two aspects. Yes, let me touch on two aspects. One is the skills mismatch issue in Bangladesh is such a burning issue that I'm a little surprised at the lack of communication between industry and academia on this particular point. Let me give you an exact number. For instance, in last year, in somewhere in North Bengal, a job fair was organized for 15,000 workers required. But at the end, the employers could end up with only 900 recruits. Right. They just couldn't find the other workers available out there. So, I mean, to me, this is astonishing, given, I spent part of my time in the US, and where in the US you have, Silicon Valley would not have been created without the presence of Stanford University and Berkeley at that point, right? Similarly, there are universities like, like Vanderbilt. What people don't know is what industry has done in terms of the RAND Corporation, the Bell Labs, the major research that industry has produced in collaboration with universities. So there are two aspects from my point of view. One is the skills mismatch, which has to be addressed, and my own personal interest is actually the education quality issue much lower down, starting from primary, secondary levels, which I will be touching on in my talk tomorrow. I mean, there's a major crisis out there, so unless we get the foundations right, we will not get the advanced levels correct. The second is on the research side. I mean, I see huge research gaps in Bangladesh, but I do not see either industry or the universities working on this sufficiently. Interestingly, in a lot of the work that I've done, I have found good collaborative research done by researchers outside, including Bangladeshi researchers in the US, in the UK, and universities outside of Dhaka. Very interestingly, you don't find too many, almost no Dhaka universities, faculty involved in many of the practical important research, say on employment and urban development and other aspects. So my basic point is there are 172 universities in Bangladesh right now. That number itself is very, in a sense, raises alarm bells. So somewhere there's a big quality issue in the whole university, USG industry. That has to be addressed, and the need to have a skill set, the training, the teamwork, by the way, in terms of the soft skills. Teamwork is another area which needs to be addressed, right? So that communication to address and identify the specific research and skill areas need to be enhanced.
Thank you so much. I think we already got the one issue here regarding that our faculty members, they are not involved in the practical research, applied research, and need-based research, skill-based research. So this is very important that we have to revise our concept, particularly the academic point of view. Now, I'm going to the same level of question to Mr. Mainuddin Monem, Managing Director, Abdul Monem Limited. Do you think that we are always asking that university what kind of research they are doing? But do you think that it should be asked to the industry that industry-driven research is available or not, where the academics, they can contribute there? Because our faculty members, they like to contribute, but sometimes we need this kind of research. So what's your opinion that industry-driven research would be applicable in our Bangladesh perspective? And if it is possible, then what kind of initiative come up from your side, like your corporate side? Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I must admit that something I have learned 25 years ago, at 26 years, where my teacher, very favorite teacher, was David Yoffie, who sits on the Intel board. Still he's on the board. One day in the classroom, I have scratched his chip in the classroom. He was very happy about it. I said, David, don't mind, I will buy you one. But still he's Intel board, so realize the person I'm talking about. He himself is a billionaire, a Harvard professor at a business school. You touched a very, Professor Mamun Bhai, a very close to my heart discussion 30 years ago I had, same at Harvard Business School classroom. And I shared with my fellow colleagues, my young brothers and sisters in this room here. I was very fortunate to be in that class when David was teaching me competitiveness at Harvard. Let me tell you one basic fallacy here. Industry does what? Industry does the need, for example, research I talk about the skill set, then skills. Academia does what? Academia produces people. But in Bangladesh, most of the time, they don't talk to each other. I don't know if they agree with me, but I found that. But what happens, I must thank IUB today, that what you've asked me, the question that is, how do you bring the bridge together and ultimately the country wins? The three players are here. One is industry win when they learn first, university win when they research real problems, and the country wins when both work together. As simple as that. This is my philosophy of learning. You cannot do miracles overnight. You got to have step by step a layman version of education first. Then you get to the top. So the question you asked me, as a Bangladeshi company, how do we envision this going forward? Sitting here, my first philosophy would be the industry need is what? We need real problem to be solved, real market research, and real data. And what academic does? They go for research, analysis, talent, and innovation. It has to merge, this has to work together hand in hand. And it's not chicken, it has to work a symbiotic manner that your needs are research at the university and applied in the industry. It's as simple as that. And how you do that? The great companies like in Singapore, you look the best companies of the world who has done it. I'm very glad that IUB has taken initiative. Tamim Bhai was very kind to invite me, and I think this is what we in Bangladesh we need, to bring the academia and research together. And how to make it happen? Applied. Means the problem that you want to solve on real term basis, that can only happen. On the great thing that I can say here that a nation cannot rise only by making factories. If you think about somebody has shitload of money, go to a place and make industry after industry. At the same time, it also cannot be in the classroom alone. But what happens is when both industry and academia learn together, work together, and they build things together. And this is my philosophy of life, that you got to work hand in hand, industry and academia, which Harvard and the best schools of the world has gained the most. 95% of faculty of Harvard works for the best companies of the world. And that's what happened in Bangladesh. I professed that with Professor JRC when I first came from Harvard in 2000. I said to JRC, sir, the first thing to be done, bring your academia and industry together. It's only then the research will proliferate the process of engineering or the process of business to accelerate to a point when we will see a win-win proposition, not before that. So thank you for my giving opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think one thing that is coming very commonly across the board is that there is a kind of gap between the industry and the academia. Why there is a gap, we don't really know that. So I'd like to ask Professor Jonathan Liu from the UK to share with us some of the experience that he has in the UK in terms of trying to bridge the gap between academia and the industry. Dr. Liu.
Thank you very much. It's a big question to try and have an answer. Okay? But I can share some experience with you to tell you that Bangladesh is not alone. This is a worldwide problem. But what I'm surprised with is it's really about time frames. I think you mentioned about technical subjects, what the UK has been trying to implement. To implement it today, it will take 19 years before it impacts on higher education. Maybe the question is not about why there is a difference, okay? Because the answer is simple. You've got different purposes. Higher education is about producing that 10-15% of so-called leaders, okay, for want of a better expression. But the challenges that industry is faced with is immediate. We need to get the job done now. So here is my view of it, okay? I don't really have much evidence apart from saying that when you look at Bangladesh, I just Googled this. I'm assuming that Google is right. Since 2017, okay, higher education has grown from 17% of the population to 23% or 23.7%. That's a phenomenal growth. which also means it has consumed quite a lot of public funding, okay, unless everything is privately funded. So maybe the question is to look at what countries in the ASEAN region has done. You've got some fantastic examples, okay? Look at what Vietnam has done, and I get it that the political standings are different. Look at South Korea, okay? More importantly, look at Singapore. The three countries have got something that's very common. They have taken a long-term view. And the long-term view is not 5 years, it's 25 years, okay? And that was what perhaps is missing here. But they've also brought three parties into play, okay? When you talk about industry and universities, you're really talking about industry, okay, perhaps in its entirety, but universities are only at the so-called top end, which we call higher education. Below us is further education, and below that is secondary education, primary education, and if you really want to go back, kindergarten, okay? And I think what is perhaps also interesting, we have the same problem in the United Kingdom. And the government has launched what is known as lifelong learning. Because the problem is not now. The problem is, okay, we understand that AI is transforming industry. So your skill sets that you need, okay, today are not going to be the same in 2 or 3 years' time. But it will take us 5 years to train or, you know, do something with people at the very top end. Okay? Even primary education, secondary education is approximately 7 years. Okay? The challenge then is really about also what the government's policies are. Okay? I wanted very much to ask if there was a policy for manufacturing, because if there isn't one, then that's our starter. If you get that right, you will have people that is needed from secondary education, primary education, all the way up to higher education. And then the final thing is also about what people want, okay? There are, I think, undertonings of challenges that are faced, okay? The younger generation are very much, they want it now, okay? The question then is, how do you balance that? And maybe Singapore is the answer. Singapore has implemented a long-term strategy where it actually focused on bringing in the so-called best of the best, okay? And they have also now enforced people that are 45 years old need to work with people that are 18, 19, 20-year-olds. The primary reason is 45 years olds can't handle Facebook. You know, we can't handle, that's out of our world. But that's the world that the younger generation lives in. So perhaps maybe the answer, okay, is collaboration throughout education, not just the universities, okay? And also bringing in government. Government have to take the lead because they are that's the stable side. And then also bringing in people.
Thank you so much. For your information, we have the few Vice Chancellor and Pro Vice Chancellor with us. So we'd like to know their opinion. They're from the private university, Eastern University Vice Chancellor, Chittagong Independent University, American International University, Bangladesh. So before going to them, we'd like to come to the our chambers. So we have the two chambers representative here. One is the MCCI, another is AmCham. So another one thing, this event is live now in Facebook, LinkedIn, and the YouTube. And we'd like to request our dear participants, we will also open the floor for you. So if you have any question, you can also ask to us. So you have to be ready to ask your question. So now I'd like to come to the our MCCI and then AmCham as well. That as you are, you understand, you represent the MCCI, and another one the American Chamber of Commerce, AmCham. So usually these kind of chambers, they have the R&D department, research and development department, and they're working with the academia very closely. particularly the practical-based research. So we'd like to know from you, MCCI, do you have this kind of option? And if you do this one, what kind of collaboration and research is going on, if you'd like to share with us?
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to this.
Kamran T. Rahman, MCCI President, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for inviting me to this discussion. First of all, we collaborate with think tanks to do some of our research work. There's some research work which we do ourselves, but there are some research work which we do in association with some of the think tanks that we have in Bangladesh. But let me tell you, going back to the earlier discussions, I would like to say something. We have a very large number of unemployed graduates. We have never had so many unemployed graduates as we have today. It's huge. But why are we having this? We have this because the industry thinks these graduates are not industry ready. They don't have the right skills. They don't have the right skills, and the industry also never collaborated as such with the universities. You see, we need to go beyond finger pointing to shared ownership of the problem and shared investment in the solution. See, industry can no longer afford to view universities as ivory towers. And universities also can no longer design curriculum in isolation. It has to be together. Unless we are able to do that, we are not going to address the right problems. Universities don't know what the industry requires. If they did, we would not have so many unemployed undergraduates as we have today. So what can we do? We need to invest in joint research, sponsoring maybe university labs and offering structured internship programs. Well, I must say that MCCI does have a program by which students from IUB can be employed or can go for internship in some of our companies. It may not be doing as well as we would like it to, but with the right collaboration, I think we need to sharpen our focus. We need to sharpen our focus on internships, and we also need to see to it that they have the right skills. My friend Naseem mentioned about language skills. Language skills is actually going to get them a long way. But here, I think language skills, the importance given to language skills is zero. We need to focus on that. We also need to collaborate with industry to ensure that we design the curricula together. Otherwise, we are not going to get very far. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Mirza Shojib Rahman from MChem, you just say same question for you.
Just thank you. To cut long story short, to answer your question, yes, MChem has a specific wing for research, and we do several research, especially on sustainability, and one of the research actually done recently that is on the labor condition of the Bangladesh market, and you lead this program, and thank you for that. And we have so many research programs we have done on the logistics and also the green environment. So to answer your question, yes, AmChem has that specific fund and research unit to do day-to-day research on the sector specific. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we'd like to come to our Vice Chancellor again. So we'd like to come to our Eastern University Vice Chancellor, Professor Farid Ahmed Subhani. So what do you think? Do you know that this kind of option they have, and our graduates, our faculty members, they can involve this kind of research? And do you have any kind of breach from academia so that we can get this kind of options so we can invite our students, faculty member to join this kind of research. Please.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Mamun Habib. First of all, I would like to offer heartfelt thanks to IUB authorities for giving this opportunity to have a discussion, not only share, just also to learn something from this beautiful August gathering. What you have said, actually, I think today is a wake-up call for the academicians, for the industry people, for the students, participants, what we are doing here. If we think about not only Eastern University, as a whole, if we think about all the universities, in fact, undoubtedly, we are producing unemployed graduates every year. In a survey, it is found that every year the universities are contributing to produce 0.1 million unemployed graduates. But the thing is why? It is not only that the university administration, the founders, or the government is responsible. In fact, the whole ecosystem is not well designed. If you think about from the government, now you see there are 116 private universities in Bangladesh. Do you think that all private universities are required at this moment? Why the government has established so many universities in Bangladesh without actually designing the destination of the universities? If you think about the owners of the, or the founders of the universities, say IUB, it is a founder, it has a good number of founders, they are the entrepreneurs. Eastern University has a good number of founders, entrepreneurs. Other universities also the same. But are the founders taking advantage from those universities? Are they trying to get the problem solved by the university teachers? Now you see, as long as the industries will not come to the universities and universities will not go to the industries, this problem will not be solved. Here, I am just requesting to have some models. We need to follow some models. Model one is actually MIT model. MIT is worldwide known for innovation. We can think about the Oxford University model. They are addressing the societal problems. You see, COVID-19, where we are facing a lot of problems. None of the universities in this world is coming with the vaccine. Whatever the vaccine, we are benefited or not, this is another question. But you see, Oxford University, with collaboration, partnership with, you see, AstraZeneca, they have actually invented the vaccine. Whether we are benefited or not, that is another issue. But you see, they are coming with some solutions. Therefore, I am requesting actually to the academicians. Now we are doing research. Faculty members are doing research. But what is they are doing? Most of the faculty members, they're thinking about the academic research, their citation. But how far their research is contributing to address the needs of the society, how far the research is contributing to the resolving the problems of the society, this should be the main issue, not only the citation. Therefore, I think it's a wake-up call for all of us, and I am again offering heartfelt thanks to IUB authorities for giving this opportunity to share something, to learn something. Thank you very much from my end. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have two distinguished scholars from Malaysia. Here is Professor Raja Razia and Manian Kalinan. So my question to you is, based on the experience of the Malaysia, for example, do you have answer for the questions such as what role the industry should play in terms of producing the right kind of skill they need for the respect? And in that case, how the industry can collaborate with the universities in terms of producing the right kind of skill, and vice versa.
Thank you. I'd like to first state that I'm doing a book, it's almost done, on upgrading human capital as the basis to stimulate economic growth in a way where you meet SDGs 8 and 9. 8 is about making sure that you reduce unemployment, and making sure that job is more permanent, and making sure that not only that wages go up, real wages go up, but also that working conditions improve. And a lot of it is actually discussing, there are models to look at. It's not just industry, government, and university. That's the Winnowa model. That's the triple helix. Now we have not just the quadruple helix, civil society coming, and quintuple helix because they have climate change. It's all part of SDGs. And I believe, going through this, last week was in Beijing. There are pre-primary school kids who can do jobs that scientists cannot do. They are at the frontier now in Tsinghua University. And it is readily accepted on AI, China is ahead of everybody else. And in fact, on machinery, yes, Germans are still ahead. That's the sort of conference I was at. In other words, institutionally, there's lots of data being collected on this, and it's being monitored by the United Nations Convention for Climate Change, and of course it's tied to. Now, if you look at SDG 4, it's not just talking about quality education, it's also talking about not just TVET, technical vocational education, but also applied universities. The Fraunhofer model is very much promoted, the German Fraunhofer model. I, being currently the advisor of the ministry, now you spoke about Malaysia, we actually introduced the Dual Training Act in 2006. We also started the act to start the Technical University Network. New universities being created, and someone will talk about UNIMAP, Perlis, Pahang, UPSI, and a number of others. Now, they didn't really succeed first, but in 2024, they've made sure these things don't happen. Not only they've made it mandatory for firms to take, whether they are multinationals or locals, employees for training from the TVET establishments, pay them at the same time. And the second one is they also have situations where particular research is being funded, and it's very much something that connects industry with the university. And this includes, we have now, this year alone, 1,500 Malaysian trainees sent to the AI training center in China in a frontier outfit. They also do that with the Kosan system in Japan, Taiwan, and Korea. So what I'm saying here is there are lots of initiatives going on. I'm sure there will also be, because the UN collects data on all the countries, on Bangladesh too. We just have to see how much they have gone. So my own feeling is, because I'm doing that book, all that are in the review, and I can just say that you might want to make an attempt to look at that, because they've collected institutional information, and they're also looking at whether upgrading is taking place. And that's why they got Malaysia to see that they ensured that there was actual training, a law to make sure firms take trainees, and the second one about the universities. And the perception, I think you mentioned about the perception people have, well, I would not take this guy as my son-in-law because he did TVET. That, again, is being removed now completely. In fact, many of them are earning more money than the guys who go through the normal system. So I feel, what I'm saying here is, in fact, that book I can send around once it's
Thank you.
sent. But what I'm telling here is there are institutionally collected information that we should look at, because it looks at the entire world, not just these few countries, but the Latin America. And it is that way I discovered Finland, Norway, many other countries with superior training, and also how Singapore has evolved. It's also there. So that's my advice.
I think I concur what Prof. Raja said. Number of things has been happening. In fact, one of the strategy that is observed in Malaysia, business leaders are now starting universities. Like we have Sunway, Taylor's, UTP in Malaysia, where these universities claim 100% employment of their graduates because they are actually hired by the ecosystem. That is one way of telling it. Because parents, what they want is, if I send my child to your university, I'm going to pay X dollars of investment, right? Can you assure me a job? So that again takes us to a fundamental question. Why is the purpose of the university's existence? Are we here to teach them to get a job? Or are we here to teach them knowledge that will make them independent, lifelong learning, etc., etc., right? So it's this is really a chicken and egg argument. So what is the purpose of the university? In fact, UGC Bangladesh, in Malaysia, we call it MQA. We introduced OBE, outcome-based education, about 15, 16 years ago. And we actually failed To be very frank, we failed because we couldn't match or couldn't fulfill the demand of the industry because the demand keep changing. Because things keep evolving, right? So when the student comes in year 1, so this is the outcome-based focus in year 1 to year 4. By the time the graduate leaves the university in year 4, things have changed. So what the graduate have learned in year 1, year 2, year 3 become now irrelevant. So the ecosystem is changing. You learn, you unlearn, and you relearn, right? Kirkpatrick model. So there's real argument who to blame. And in fact, number of points I put here, in Nottingham University, for example, we engage very closely with industry. We have something called IAB, Industry Advisory Board. But there's only how much we can listen to the industry. We can't take everything and put into the curriculum, and then the curriculum will not fulfill government requirement, and the degree will not be recognized. So end of the day, we can only put certain extent of what industry wanted into the curriculum. So there are a lot of arguments and dispute that we have, but definitely engaging industry often, doing research with them. Like example, in Malaysia we have MICREST and MIT lab. All these are very, very interesting points that we can take. On a personal note, as a lecturer, what I do, I use a lot of industry visits. I bring in industry speakers to my class regularly to tell my students, this is what you must think, right? This is what you must do, build your network, talk to industry, otherwise you become unemployed. Just some thoughts on that. Thank you.
I've been in the board for University Technology Petronas. Just like Sunway, they also boast 100% employment. Their structure is they have an advisory board from industry for all programs at the level of introduction as well as continuous advice on that. Now, the second point they do is they have 6 months training in all those selected firms, which might explain why they, of course, they are also into engineering-based courses, but making sure that they're up to date. It's not the
co-op programs.
In other words, they're always regularly upgraded. Go back to the SDG 4, that point I wanted to make. Lifelong learning is very much inside there, and it's monitored by the UN on all countries, how far they've gone. In other words, there's appraisal taking place everywhere. It might be useful to see that, how successful they are.
Thank you. We'll go to our another 2 international speakers later on. Before that, I would like to come to the Dr. M.D. Mosharraf Hossain, ICDDRB. You are in the HR, we can say the HR expert for long days, and how many years? A lot of the HR director and manager is your student, your colleague, ex-colleague. So it's our very basic question, but I think you can also explain, and you can you know better than us. What competencies do you find most lackings, particular skill gapping, particularly the new graduates and entry-level job applicants?
Thank you, Dr. Maun Habib, for inviting me. Before that, let me introduce my other head. I'm also the president of the HR Federation in Bangladesh. And I gathered the HR professionals in Bangladesh, so I have some experience what the other HR professionals are also thinking. Before answering your question, let me congratulate IOB for inviting. This industry academia collaboration meeting, I started at least from 2001, and this is 2025. So if I count down, it is 24 years have been discussing this. Every universities and everywhere, this is the talk of the conference topic. But unfortunately, these are not going out of the conference room, or that is the reality. Maybe this is not going to happen here. Let me express some of my frustration, because I have been in the HR Association for the last 25 years. And I am teaching at the university for the last 32 years. And fortunately, I have all my higher education from abroad, so I have some experience. In Bangladesh, we have 52% unemployed graduate, as per UGC. Reason of lack of competency. On the other hand, we hire a lot of people from other countries, including our neighboring countries. Second thing, the UGC realized 5 years ago that they should have a bridge between industry and academia, and they signed an agreement with our federation. Nothing happened afterward. And then, very recently, one UK university, in collaboration with a private university, is going to offer the PhD. And their requirement that you have to have the industry partner. It should be a tri-party agreement, otherwise PhD is not going to allow. And the supervisor, one supervisor from academia and another from the industry. So this is the situation in the other part of the country. When I studied in Calgary, no internship, no thesis was being supervised by academic. But here, everything is by academic. I have seen in ICDDRB, many of our scientists, they are directly supervising the PhD of the graduates from Harvard, from the Johns Hopkins, from the London School of Economics, and all these things. But I see, very honestly, that industry and academia gaps are gradually increasing. It is not decreasing. Reason behind, we discuss, but we don't take action. Industry and academia should work together. With another frustration, I had a discussion, for Chobani is the vice president of our federation, with the president of the Association of the Private University. And there was an agreement that we will have a joint research to understand the skill gaps and what is the necessary. And accordingly, we have submitted a written proposal. Proposal is still with me, but since then, nothing happened. So when this is the reality, then I think the industry and academia gap will be increasing. Coming back to a direct question, I am HR. I studied HR. I did my PhD in HR. What I see, the university, there is a ranking, and each ranking has a different viewpoint. That is the other side of the coin. But what I see, the basic skills, like if I hire an HR graduate, and on the first day if I give, okay, prepare this advertisement, they are not being able to do this. They are not able to do even the shortlisting, very simple task. The problem behind all the books they studied was written 50 years back by somebody who probably has died. And the concept was 50 years back concept. With full respect, many of the professors, not like you, they never work in the industry. The books was written on theoretical assumption. So what they are reading, those are not relevant to the market. And Mr. Nasim Munjur mentioned, and somebody also disagreed, I think communication skills is very vital. Vital in a sense, because what I know, I should be able to communicate. But the problem is, the communication is a big problem. Today I had a class in one of the universities. When I discussed that you have to make a presentation and that will be my requirement, they said, oh my God, we have done many presentations and you are asking with the set of requirement, can you relax? And I said, no. You have a choice to give the presentation or not give the presentation. The problem is analytical skills. Problem is negotiation skills. You said the very recent, in 2023, Harvard has published a research report that the success of any professionals, 83% depends on the behavioral competencies. Whatever we are discussing, all the technical competencies. Any graduate, any professional, the success is 83%. And this report is in their portal, you can see. And do we teach any behavioral competency? Probably not. The problem is there. So I think immediately we have to have a joint research by industry and academia, and industry will definitely tell you the problem. And you, the academician, should find what is the reason of this problem. And the second thing, if you really want to reduce the gap, the approach should be you have to delegate some of your responsibilities to the industry expert. Why you are supervising the internship report? And they are going to Nilkhet and just print something and you sign it. Very honestly, because I am here, I am in this industry for last 32 years. So, like in ICT-DRB, in last 6 months, we have allowed 112 interns. They had to be in our office every day. They work very closely with their supervisor. Report was presented to their supervisor and approved by the supervisor in the industry, and university has to approve it. Sorry, probably my talk was a little bit negative because I have seen both the side, industry side and the academia side, and that's the reason I try to ventilate some of my frustration for the interest of the country and the graduates. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have 5 more panelists, and then we'd like to go to our audiences. So now we'd like to invite our 2 professors of practice, one from the UK, another from the USA. Professor Ben from UK and Professor Derek from the USA. So we'd like to know from you that what is your observation as you are working in the industry for a long time and then you came back to the academics. So and how we can incorporate this kind of your ideas based on your experience in our culture, in our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Habib, for the opportunity to engage and for the opportunity to engage and share some experiences. I think since morning I've heard the exchanges and the dialogue, and the 2 things came up clearly for me, and one of them is actually skills shortage. That is a very important kind of variable in terms of managing organizations or operations. There is a gap between dialogue between the industry and the universities, but I think in my own experience, things appear to be changing. I say this because, I spent 5 years in the UAE, and my colleagues here have already alluded to the fact that the universities there have got industry advisory councils that actually support development of programs and also the assessment strategies. So that is an attempt to close that gap between industry and the academic in terms of provision of responsive degree programs. The other thing is that in the UK, and I'm sure some of my colleagues from the UK can vouch this issue. In the UK, they have what is referred to as apprenticeship degree programs. And these apprenticeship degree programs are designed to address the skills requirement for industry, so that the graduates that are coming out of those programs, they are competent enough. They've got the requisite competencies to work in those roles that they are required. One key feature of an apprenticeship degree program is that it's actually based on 3 criteria. Not only the learning outcomes that we are traditionally familiar with, but we refer to KSBs, which is knowledge, skills, and the behaviors. So what this does is that for each of the learning outcomes that you may have for a degree program, you must identify the knowledge requirements, the skills requirement, and also the behavior that is going to be assessed and measurable within that area. So there has been an attempt to try and make degree programs responsive to industry needs in terms of the knowledge, the skills, and the behaviors that are required for particular jobs within the industry. For example, if you're looking at supply chain operations or the supply chain industry, there are some roles that have been identified already at each level of the operation. Entry level, team leader level, management level. So they then identify, or we would identify with the industry collaboration, what are the knowledge requirement for each of those levels, and then what are the skills or the competencies that are required to be able to execute within those roles, and then what constitute behavior change for that particular role. So there is definitely an attempt within the country to try and make degree programs responsive. There's also the issue to do with research. I know for certain that some organizations within the UK have set themselves up where they've got, they've transformed their HR departments into, they actually call them universities within the organization for innovation and development. And what they are doing is they're then collaborating with universities and an opportunity of working within one of these organizations where they have established an academy within, say, a logistics company. So what this academy does is it actually goes out to industry, identify the skills requirement for a particular role, and then design a training program or a degree program. And I know right now that this academy is working with a university where the university has outsourced a degree program to an organization. So we now have an organization offering a degree program on behalf of a university. So these are some strong collaborative arrangements that we see taking center stage in the UK.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Derek, please.
Thank you again for having me, Dr. Habib. I'm going to kind of keep this short and simple because I think that we've dissected this thing pretty much. But coming from industry and going into academics, I still think like a practitioner. Like I still think I'm going to work every day. How am I going to improve this process and stuff like that? But when I get to the academic world, that thought is not really there. It's not existent. We're happy to do the status quo. Happy to do what we did last week, what we did last year. Well, those are last year's slides. Those are from 2 years ago slides. I haven't doctored them up. Use the same stuff, right? Well, industry doesn't work like that. Industry constantly evolves, all these types of things. But just a couple things that I want to pass along. The lifelong learning, I love that. That's exactly the message we should be teaching. Then we kind of get bogged down in these conversations about technical skills. Like, should we teach them SAP, or should we teach them Oracle, or how do we, the specific system skills, right? Those will evolve, those will change. And plus, when a student gets out in the real world, they're going to be trained on those things. So it's more important to teach them data analytics, how to speak with data, how to tell their story with data, help them make decisions with data, and really embed that, because that's the future. Everybody's going to need that, right? And then the other thing is the soft skills of critical thinking, collaboration. I would say a sense of urgency. If there's any way to teach a sense of urgency, especially in supply chain, that would be amazing, because a lot of people just lack that skill. And especially in supply chain, a sense of urgency is critical every single day. That's, I mean, to me, that's just some minor observations. Great discussion. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Now we'd like to move to our two more academics. Our Chittagong Independent University Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. M.M. Nurul Afsar, and then Professor Dr. M.D. Abdul Rahman, Vice Chancellor, American International University, Bangladesh. So you already heard from the UK, you already heard from the USA, from their industry, what kind of collaboration. Do you believe that our academic culture, we have that kind of flexibility, whether we can cope up with this kind of industry-driven thinking, industry-driven curriculum development, curriculum revision? What's your observation as you are leading our academic institution? Thank you.
Thank you, and good evening. I think we all were talking about how to overcome the gap between academia and industry. So I think we need to have more this type of discussions as the first step to overcome. As we are talking from the academic field, from our experience from Chittagong, we can say that if we can actually change our mindset, we can overcome this gap. In case of our Chittagong Independent University, we actually were very much focused to the industry needs. And we started knocking the industry people. As you know, industry people, they also have resources. They also want to fulfill STEM needs, self-actualization needs. So we actually introduced two programs, Corporate Talk program and Connecting C-Suites program, even 10 years back. And the program, for example, the Corporate Talk was started with inviting the managing director of BSRM, Mr. Amir Ali Hussain, one of the billion-dollar companies of the country. And then he shared his experiences with the students. Then we started knocking, so how we can work more with you. Then they offered us to provide some training program for their people. Then they invited our students to work different projects. Like recently, our students have worked in one project of digital transformation. So you see, this way, last couple of days ago, the last resource person for our Corporate Talk program was Mr. Hafizur Rahman Khan from Runner Group. So we are discussing with him, what about your problems? Then he was mentioning that we just introduced BYD car and we are facing different problems. So we tell him that how we can work. So you give us some ideas. So now we are developing case on BYD's journey in Bangladesh. So this way, in our business school, we started writing case, as many of you have talking about, we need contextually relevant cases. If we offer actually cases developed in Western world, these are not related to our problems. So I think writing primary database teaching cases could be one of the ways to minimize the gap between industry and academia. And so far we have developed 3 globally accepted cases. These are published in MRL, one on BSRM, another one on Niloy Motors Limited about their Hero motorcycle. And latest we developed one case on DBL Group's sustainability journey. And now we are working on 2 more cases. One I have already mentioned, BYD and Lafarge Holcim. Then we actually running 2 programs. One with the City Allows Women Entrepreneurship Development Program. And another one with Bragg Bank, Uddokta 101 program. By these 2 programs with country's 2 top commercial banks, Citibank and Bragg Bank. So you see the bank people are connected with us, women entrepreneurs are there. So we are knowing their problems, and this way we are collaborating. And in one project, Mr. Mamun Habib, Professor Mamun Habib was the lead. Like we developed one curriculum for integrated supply chain management project, as it was actually required by BAFA, Bangladesh Freight Forwarders Association, funded by USAID. And under that project, we visited many trade bodies around the country, and we developed and successfully we implemented the program. And recently, we actually signed an MOU, a historic MOU with Young One Corporation. Under this MOU, they have actually provided us 1.1 crore taka for the scholarship. And then they are offering internship to our students, then placement. Then they have invited us to work with them with the cleanliness program of Chittagong City. And they have already invited us. We visited Seoul National University Asia Center, and they would like to connect us with some Korean universities. So this way, we are also working with HSBC in a climate change project. So I think the most important thing is that changing our attitudes. And we need to connect, we need to knock the industry people. That we would like to work with you, we would like to invite you, come, you share your experiences and how we can actually address your problems.
Thank you so much.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'd like to move to our Dr. M.D. Abdul Rahman, Vice Chancellor, AIUB.
Well, thank you very much. So I think things are very clear now. What's the gap and others? We have been listening for a long time. So as for your question that are we going forward? Definitely, as you know, distantly, many of the universities, most of the universities I would say, that are very serious about the accreditation. Specifically, I am from the engineering field. Engineering Bangladesh is a Washington Accord signatory. So many of the engineering programs are seriously following the OB requirements and 12 program outcomes that was set by the BIET. And BSc, BNQF also, we have the skill sets that are also is incorporated in the many of the syllabus curriculum. So, and there are in almost all the accreditation bodies, there is one requirement of industrial advisory panel. So almost every program now, program-wise, program level, industrial advisory panel, where the industry people, the leaders, they give their feedback on the curriculum, and it's being incorporated. And as per my knowledge, many of the universities are doing it, because I am actually one of the accreditors as well for the OBE, for the Washington Accord. So I visit many universities and I have seen that. And there are another requirement of the Alumni Association as well, like the feedback from the alumni who are in the industry. So they are also giving their feedback. And so things are changing, as I said, that for 24 years we are working, but maybe it's for the next few years we are really hopeful for that. And as for the industrial and the academic relations, I'd like to share one of my experience with the government agency. I was the lead of developing one commercial software, a commercial product. It is actually TRP, I think many of us know, television rating point. It's the TRP. So for every program in the television, there is some rating, and based on the rating, the rates, advertisement rates, everything is determined. So Bangladesh was ready to purchase it. There are not many players in the market, from USA, it was Nielsen, from UK, it was Kantar, and from India, it was BRC. But it was, it required around 100 crore to import it. So as you know that our industry in Bangladesh, mainly on the technology transfer. We are not actually creating the solution. We are mainly technology transfer. So the policymakers are very eager to purchase that. But somehow we are asked to develop that. I was called, and it is Bangladesh Satellite Company Limited, a government agency, government company. With them, we developed it. And now I come to the problem. One problem, the first question we heard is why a private university? Not the quality of the product, not the whether it is giving me the service, why a private university selected. So that is one of the mindset that we went through. Another problem we faced is there was no R&D fund. Government cannot provide any R&D fund to any of the universities. So what they did, the satellite company did, they ordered 10 prototypes from us. So we had to sell that prototypes to them. So, but in that time, actually, we developed the product by that R&D. And the last problem that we faced there is after we developed it, they cannot share the royalty because some intellectual property was developed over there, IP. So this concept is not clear to everybody, even in the industry, even in everywhere. We are not ready to pay the royalty. So what the option given to me, you sell it to us. We can pay you one time, you take the money and you sell it to us. I told it is not for sale. You must share the property because it is intellectual property of my university, my people and others, and as well as you joint intellectual property as well. So the revenue must be shared. So it took me around 6 months to develop the product, but it took me to around more than 1 year to solve the issues. financial issues than others. But finally, luckily, we are able to solve it. And
Thank you.
so if we actually work, like we can solve the problems and we can go forward, I think.
Thank you so much. We are at the end of our discussion. We will take the 2 questions from the audiences. Before that, our last panelist, Professor Ruhul S. Salim, Cardiff University, Australia. I'd like to request that our volunteers please be ready to take the question from the audience. After this panelist discussion, we'd like to take the cue from the question from the audiences. Professor Ruhul, sir, please.
Thank you, Professor Mamoon Habib. It's very glad to be here, and clearly there is, inertia exists between the academia and industry here. So there are, I think, reasons there. This morning I heard from Hossein Jalur Rahman and also our Vice Chancellor here that this is the first meeting, possibly after the establishment of this university here, between the industry and the academia. So there are reasons why this inertia exists. I think over time, this inertia will be removed. So more and more this kind of discussion are necessary, so that we can find what sort of workforce is required by the industry. So in Australia, where I'm working, these days we are calling it work integrated learning. So that means whatever you open up a course, new course or new unit, or even a new PhD student you are recruiting, you must have the accreditation, what is called the work integrated learning. So I think, time will come here also. I think the universities should come forward, and also same from the industry side. We have to welcome the industry to come to in our academic institutions, and then, we collaborate sincerely to, produce the work-ready graduates in future. Thank you.
So now, thank you so much. I think you already understood that this is the 22 panelists are here. So we have done our job. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. Now we'd like to go to our Q&A. Before that, I'd like to remind you one thing, that tomorrow morning we have a first keynote presentation at 9 a.m. Registration as usual 8 a.m. Those who have done registration, no need to do the registration. But if you didn't do this registration, you have to do the registration. And tomorrow evening, 6:15, we have another academia industry discussion. So you can understand, we can add more values there. From today's discussion, we can take some keynotes there. So now we'd like to invite our first question, please.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the chance to question. Actually, I have the experience from academic side and industry side both. So usually when we talk about the industry-academia gap, we are...
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sorry. This is Mohammad Abdullah Al Mahmoud, founder and CEO of Thriving Skills Limited. I'm also assistant professor at Manaut International University. So the main issue is we are blaming about the academia, that academia cannot adopt with the technological revolution to cope up the curriculum. Second thing is for industry is not investing to grow our homegrown research. So these are very well known. But if we want to address the main issue, see, in our country, still our industries are creating second industrial revolution related product. In the morning, what I have seen, Nasim Manjur Bhai have shown us some brand. All these brands, what they are producing, these brands are producing, these are not even relevant to the third industrial revolution, computer related technologies. All these are second industrial or first industrial relevant technologies. So what universities are producing, they are not getting chance to produce updated technologies. When we are talking about the transformation, economic transformation, so we need to think about industrial transformation so that these industries will invest on the academia, they will develop academic research, or they will create knowledge, real knowledge, that will help us to bridge the industry and academia. So we need to address that, that is industry should develop based on the
Thank you.
Academic research and based on these third and fourth industrial revolutions.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I think it's a one kind of observation. Thank you so much for your observation, not the question. So please, one please.
Okay, my name is Mohammad Alok Tarek. Before I put forward my question, I would like to give some background that I worked in military for 20 years and then in industry for 20 years and had been responsible for recruiting officers, cadets, and executives. So what I have seen, the biggest turnoff that we receive from the fresh graduates, we don't expect them to have experience because they have all their intern years only, but they are very, casual or careless about basic spellings, like say carrier with C-A-R-E-E-R and career, C-A-R-R-I-E-R, two different meanings. College, C-O-L-L-E-G-E, college, C-O-L-L-A-G-E. So once we receive these resumes, then it shows that he's not very, careful about the spelling mistakes and checking back the paper. Next, we see that they are not being trained to communicate their ideas. How to make their ideas, pitch their ideas, sell their ideas, and then critical thinking. Most importantly, they don't have any future plans. Once they join as the fresh graduates after that executive, they mainly have a clerical or 9-to-5 role, and then without any future plan, where you want to see him next 5 years. And end of the day, he will never ask what is his contribution. And last but not the least, that we have seen the fresh graduates, most of them are reactive. After we try to train them for 1 year, 2 years, they don't become proactive. They don't, convert themselves to the attitude, okay, there's a problem, let me take care of the problem. So that attitude is missing. The AI is coming, they are disrupting jobs, employment, but what we expect from the academia, these basic skills that I have talked now, these will not be replaced by AI. Like a soldier will never be replaced by a robot. So we would always request the academia to prepare the fresh graduates in these basic skills so that with the industry I can convert them further.
Thank you, Dr. Tarek. Thank you so much. One more. Yeah, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
I'd like to request, just do not give any kind of observation or comments. Just if you have any question, please be specific the question, please.
Assalamu alaikum, distinguished guest. Nice to see the industry academia under the same table. So my name is Mohammad Hassan Chaudhary. I am an academician. I'm the assistant professor from Prime Minister University. So my question is what curriculum reforms are necessary to reduce the mismatch between the university curriculum right now we have and the industry expectation in Bangladesh? So this is my number one question. And number two question, so far I hear number of negatives. So what are the positives we can get from this discussion? Thank you.
Please, sir.
I will give you a practical problem with Bangladesh. If industry asks me something today, that this is the kind of thing, this is the kind of degree I want a 2-year program, or I want this change, I want that change, it will take me a minimum of 1 year to get it on the board because of the bureaucracy of approval process. So it is very difficult unless it is a 3-month certificate program which does not require any approval, we can just do it on our own. Anything beyond 3 months, you have to go on UGC approval. And UGC approval is a bureaucratic process. UGC is understaffed, so it takes long time to get a simple course approval. Forget a program approval. So that is the limitations of the universities. Changes, we can make 15-20% changes in our syllabus curriculum without any approval. That is given already. That is, a faculty can change few things within the approved program. But for a wholesome change or for a new program to adopt, it takes long time. By the time sometimes we get programs approved, that program have become obsolete. So curriculum change, at least in IUB, we look into our curriculum every 3 years and we do major overhauling, changing in 3 to 4 years' time. We do update our curriculum as well as books and references, we update them. And minor curriculum changes is happening all the time. But not as fast as the industry requires. Industry is going ahead in a very high pace and we are unable to. So I think there is, again, the importance of national objective is very important, and government intervention, government policy level decision making is extremely important, because government expects universities to get along and run with the industry, but they have bogged us down with different bureaucratic barriers. So that is something I think from this today's program, but the other things that is very important, it's my just, I'm taking the opportunity, the common concern, especially from the industry, the practitioners, is that soft skill, communication and soft skill. That is lacking in our graduates, and IUB is actually focusing on that. We are thinking of having a separate program for developing soft skills. We do have some programs, but especially for graduating students, we are going to have a special programs for developing soft skills and behavioral competence.
Thank you, sir. Basically, today we have heard the KSB, knowledge, skills, and behavior. Thank you. So we are going to take the last question. What is the hand, please? Yeah, please. It will be the last question. Thank you so much again. But if you have any further question, we have then another chance. Then tomorrow evening we have the academic industry discussion, and we will give them more time to the audiences to ask the question. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Dr. Nahin Mamun, Assistant Professor from the Department of...
Is it working? Close it.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nahin Maun, Assistant Professor from the Department of Marketing and International Business, North-South University, and also the General Secretary of BSPUA. And I want to thank IUB for considering us as an organizational partner in this conference. My question is about involving investors in this academia industry dialogue, because we always see investors missing out. They go to India, they go to other countries, because they like the graduates there. So the question here is that when can we have a Silicon Valley in Bangladesh? Sir, my question is, can we have a Silicon Valley in Bangladesh?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It depends on our investor. Investor is here beside of us. I think they can take the decision. And we are hoping that they will do this kind of things inshallah in near future. Thank you so much for your optimistic thinking about based on our Bangladesh culture. Thank you so much. So now that's all from our side from this discussion. Once a time, we'd like to give a special thanks to all panelists of this from the corporate side and academic side. We would say the only one thing from the Independent University of Bangladesh School of Business Entrepreneurship. This is a starting of our discussion. And the question was there that what will be the next? The findings will be documented. It will be published. And based on that, we have to work together, academia and industry. Inshallah, we'll work together. Thank you so much. Declaration. কে দিবে? MC কোথায়?
Dear guests, we hope you had a wonderful day filled with inspiring sessions, meaningful knowledge sharing, and fruitful networking opportunities. Tomorrow, we look forward to welcome you back for more insightful sessions and paper presentations. I request you all to be here at 8 a.m. Our registration booths will be live tomorrow from 8 a.m. So kindly please be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow on time.
For now, please enjoy your dinner, relax, and take this time to connect with fellow participants. Thank you for being part of today's journey. We wish you a pleasant evening. Good night.
Thank you.
Prof. Jonathan, will you serve here?